My name is NEFTALI. I just dropped the Daniel project. It's a visual album, and you are tuning in to SNEAKVIBING.
Baby, gone tomorrow, along with all you do.
Many lessons had to learn. Slam the gavel, court adjourned. The ground is hot, the sun it burns. My skin, these pages had to turn.
So it kind of snowballed into it. I had worked with Ken last summer. Pegues actually linked us up, and him and Pegues knew each other and had worked together before. And we did a visual for one of the songs I did with Pegues, and it was cool. Ken is really talented, and he kind of put like a cinematic feel on the video. So we kind of just built a friendship off that, you know what I mean? Would meet up for coffee or drinks, and I had an idea where I didn't even know it was gonna be a project. I had like a batch of songs, and I wanted to have like visuals for each song. And even at that point, it wasn't necessarily like a tied-in story. My plan was actually to get it out in the winter, and I just wanted all the videos to be winter themed. And at the time, I thought I'd be working with different videographers, and I kind of just like got with Ken to tell him the idea, because he's a great photographer too. So on top of videos, I wanted to get pictures ready. But then we just got to talking, and he really kind of saw the vision for what I was starting to come up with, and he was throwing his own ideas out there. And then one thing led to the next, and I was like, well, you know what, I'd rather just do all of these with you so everything kind of stays consistent, and we can actually, rather than it be him just directing my video, we kind of approach it as like a collaboration project between the two of us. That one, it's fun working with him, but I also thought that would make the work more grounded and meaningful if it had one director. This whole thing, it was just me and him. You know, there was no guy helping with lighting, there was no editor, there was nobody there doing BTS. Like, it was just me and him. So, you know, I learned a lot from him. I'm sure he learned from me. You know, there'd be shots where he has one hand on the camera and he has another light on me. Wow. You know what I mean? We just really like got to it. And we honestly didn't get started till the second half of December, but I would say the majority of this, even a lot of the songs, were done in January and February. I knew we were gonna get this done, so before having anything done, I went to Black Dots in December, and I was like, let me book March 1st for like the viewing event. So I kind of like, sometimes I could be a little stuck in the clouds, you know what I mean? So I like booking something where it's like, okay, like you gotta get this done because, well, you don't really have a choice, you know? Why in January and February, that's really when we did the majority of the shooting. So, you know, I was leaving work and then going straight to Ken's house, and same with him. We were just like figuring it out as we went. Crosshairs and Incredible are my two favorites. Okay. It's funny because Lions, I'm aware everybody likes Lions, but Lions is actually my least favorite.
Really?
But you know, I like it, and I think it's very good, and it's fun, so I get why people see it, you know. You know, for me, I went from like fresh out of high school, tried college for like a year, didn't really work out because I started making music. And honestly, shortly after that, like Freak the Money just kind of took off out of nowhere. So went from not being involved in music to starting, and then it's just catching on quick, you know. So there was a lot of we were younger, like me and all the guys in Freak the Mighty, so there was just a lot of things that we had to like figure out. Everything was happening fast, despite it still being in Buffalo, you know. It still felt very real, you know. So I guess I spent years like working through that, you know, trying to be a better artist, trying to, I guess in a sense, be a presence in the community, you know, trying to be a good person with friends and relationships. So yeah, it's always been this like constant struggle of like, I blinked and all this is going on, you know, and I'm in it, and I gotta figure out how to steer it. Cause it's interesting that's funny, because at the Buffalo hip hop event, Esco was speaking about this on stage. I caught that panel discussion, and I'll agree with him on that concept of Buffalo fame, because especially when you're younger, you know, you got like 100 people at your shows, like saying the words, you know, screaming the lyrics and all that. That was cool, but yeah, it became a bit challenging because a lot of people knew who I was. A lot of people, I speak about this on the project too. You know, we had kind of a creative hub, so it wasn't even just us. We kind of opened we were younger, and you know, I'm happy we went through this, but at the same time, like, we opened our doors to anybody that just wanted to work or seem cool, like, come on in, you know what I mean? And that created for a lot of beautiful moments, but I think it was also a bit chaotic at times, you know? My real name is Daniel, which is what the project's named for. Neftali is my father's name, his father's name. It's my middle name. So when I started making music, I kind of just went as Neftali. And I think that while being called Neftali by pretty much everybody that knows me through music, it almost made like a split within myself, because as I stepped into the identity of Nef, like I had a lot of great moments that I was proud of and started feeling like me, or at least who I wanted to be, like the idea of Neftali. Whereas prior to dedicating myself to music, like, you know, it wasn't all misery or nothing like that, but life wasn't necessarily the best, you know what I mean? So it's almost like a split between like when I was just Daniel and when this Neftali thing kind of like came into the picture. Of course, Daniel is who I am, you know, it's who I was born as, what I knew for 18, 19 years, you know what I'm saying? So this project was kind of like somewhat of an identity crisis, you can say. Like, who am I really? Why am I more comfortable with Neftali than I am being called Daniel? Like, why does my body go back into like feeling like small, you know, when I hear the word Daniel compared to when I hear the word Nef, you know? So that concept was kind of on my mind a lot and almost bothering me a little bit. Like, what do I got to do to feel comfortable? Like, am I really comfortable when I hear Nef, or is it like something else at play, you know? That's the funny part. When I first started working at Ken, I had a certain batch of songs, but during the we kind of filmed everything out of order. Like, we didn't necessarily sit down first and have like a script, or we want to hit this, and this. I think we shot the third video first, but while coming up with the idea for the third video, we came up with the idea where I'd be driving and I'd stop in the middle of the road and I would see myself. But from there, I actually then went back and created certain songs with the idea of tying it into the project. So, like, when I say we did pretty much all of it, January to February, I even mean like 4 out of the 7 songs I also wrote in the process of like knowing we would have to film for it. It was fun, but that's what when I shouted out Ken earlier for being like, I like working with Ken because he's able to just be in chaos and kind of be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Whereas other people would be like, what do you got me doing? Like, we got a premiere date in 60 days and like we got to shoot 5 videos and you know what I mean? And with Ken, it was just like we are both calm in the face of uncertainty. Well, incredible just from a writer standpoint, I'm really proud of that one. Because kind of how it goes, just like the first verse, I wrote it on election day, funny enough, and I was kind of in my feelings that day because, I think everybody was. A lot of people were even on the fence about the other side because we've been let down for so many years, and it almost sometimes feels like, well, the whole system is horrible, so what am I gonna do? Incredible, it's like the first verse, I'm ranting against people in power and how evil the world could seem, you know, and then that chorus is like, well, despite all that, like, I'll never sell my soul and I'll make myself incredible. But then you take the second verse, and the second verse is noticeably way more braggadocious than the first verse. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get dinner with LeBron, you know, serve me filet mignon. I need a statue at Forest Lawn. You know, it's just like, it's very braggadocious. So it's almost like through my bitterness in the first verse and through like making myself incredible, I'm then slowly becoming what I was ranting about in that first verse. Having this fear in me that like success and money is going to make me someone that I wouldn't want to be now. A lot of times, like I still don't know what it's like to be rich and famous, right? So it's very easy for me to say like, man, that person, he's not who he was when he first started, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know what it's like to go through the experience of going from being broke to suddenly having like 8 figures in your bank account and thousands, if not even more than that, people who expect things from you. Like, it's, I can't imagine what that's like, you know what I mean? You know, even despite it being an intro, that's the very last one I made for it. And just on some lyricism, just like rapper brain, I just love it. To me, it's fun. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anything like Crosshairs, just from how the instrumental is, how I rapped on it. It's just unique, and I had so much fun writing that. You know, it's always the ones where it's just like, in 10 minutes, the idea just comes out and I'm going.